In this episode, I will tell you about how to find a job you love. After all, hating Mondays is outdated. So, how to land your dream job? From my experience, it starts with a good understanding of what you're looking for. I didn't know what my dream or preferred job was for a long time. What helped me understand what I didn't want to do all day and all my life was my job hopping in London. Much as I'm a fan of a stable professional life, I believe there's a time, usually at the beginning of your professional career, when doing some job hopping can help you settle into a long term career that you will love. Therefore, consider trying out a polyamorous approach to job hunting and working in general. In other words, don't be afraid to experiment a bit. So, here's what I learned after working many jobs in London. Job hopping helped me understand what I didn't want. After a couple of years of job hopping in London, I learned what I didn't want in my job. So, I didn't want to sell unwanted stuff. I didn't want to be on the phone more than necessary. I didn't want to sit in meetings instead of making the most of my creativity and productivity. I didn't want to meet super urgent deadlines when nobody was likely to die. I didn't want to be a copy and paste master. I didn't want to fix problems and mistakes made by others more than necessary. I didn't want to chase people more than necessary. I didn't want to wait for things to go wrong or difficult. Otherwise, there's no challenge. I didn't want to be contractually responsible for assisting other team members 40 hours per week. I didn't want to have people taking their frustration out on me just because I was a junior employee. I had to learn most of these don't wants the hard way. But it helped me discover that at work, I wanted to generate ideas and create content. I wanted to be my own boss. It turned out it was possible in a startup environment. I soon had an opportunity to create my one-person content team. Hating Mondays is outdated and not necessary. So hating Mondays is outdated. Plus, waiting for the weekend is not a long-term life strategy. Some people, especially from older generations, may choose to stay at the same workplace for 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years. It's difficult to imagine for many millennials and those from Generation Z who may see such loyal employees as some sort of corporate dinosaurs. After all, today we have more work and business opportunities than our parents did. So why not experiment a bit? Some people may have always known what they want to do professionally. However, I don't think the majority of us are in this group. We may have a vague idea of what we like and dislike, but we may also have difficulties translating our vague preferences into pursuing a career or business idea that is right for us. That's why, unless you know what your dream job is, I believe in the power of job hopping and professional polyamory. A very nice word. My first office job in London. I quit before I started. My first office job in London was a sales exec specializing in aviation. I was glad that I had a job. I was also terrified at the thought of cold calling. I would have to call people who didn't want me to call. Then my task was to convince them that they actually wanted me to call so they could buy that airline product, whatever that was. My manager gave me a big folder with selling techniques and golden rules. The last section contained the hottest tip. Just do whatever it takes to win their attention. Worst case scenario, they will hang up on you. Being a hard saleswoman wasn't my nature. Neither was I familiar with or interested in the aviation industry. As my manager seemed to be too busy with his own commissions, I had to study those folders on my own and wait 2 long days to be put on the phone and evaluated. Eventually, I chickened out. The thought of making that first call was worse than the call itself. At least, I guess this must have been the case, as I never made a call at that company. The bottom line: I trusted that my leaving the world of hard sales was for the highest good of all concerned. This was the only time when I decided to quit before I even started. No regrets. My dream job equals creativity. A few years ago, I decided to take a 6-month career break after working in purchasing and project management and not being passionate about it. During my career break, I set up a fan page and a blog about London. Then I started writing my book, The Power of Displacement. This is when I realized that creativity is what drives me in life. I'm not driven by fixing problems, chasing people, averting crises, planning for the sake of planning, and babysitting other team members. I've always been into creative tasks, and I've always wanted to make a living writing. So after my career break, I changed careers and started working in digital marketing. I started writing content, and it gave me a steady income. I was scared to make that transition, but the rest, as they say, is history. Up to this day, I've never missed project management or office administration. Now, no 2 days are the same for me, and I love working with words and publishing content. I feel lucky to be able to live off writing, creating content, and generating ideas. My job hopping and professional polyamory help me understand my assets, strengths, weaknesses, likes, and dislikes. I know what I'm good at and what I love doing. Job hopping helped me understand that not everything is for me. Being creative, I never feel bored. I may get busy, but I hardly ever feel tired. Finally, I learned how it feels to love your job. I like most Mondays as much as any other day of the week. If you like this story, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for listening.